Welcome to Give Permission to Ask Questions on a Monday Morning. This is season 4, episode 2. Give permission to go on an adventure. So I have my buddy Pierre. Why do I always I've known you for like 3 years, 4 years, and I'm like, why is your name always so hard? 30-second elevator pitch. Tell me who you are, what you do, what's new with you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Rhett. My name is Pierre. I am a customer service expert. What I value the most include solving problems. I value being authentic, and I thrive in solving problems. In fact, people come to me because I love solving problems for them. Not to mention, I am pragmatic. I'm bilingual. To mention, working in a team is something like the thrive in.
Mhm.
And as I said before, I am living my truth.
Mhm. This year for me, it's going to be diligence and proficiency in play. So all I'm supposed to do this year is play. So like darn good adventure. So I want like people this year to be like give permission to go on an adventure. But adventures are like actually scary. So like when I say adventure, what does that look like to you?
I think that when going on an adventure, it means trying out something you've never done before.
Mhm.
It's when you foray into new things. You're wandering into into a new. You dare to sell. You dare yourself to try out something you've never done before.
Mhm.
You go to new places, you try out different foods, even try out the outfits that are not typically you. Maybe it'll work, maybe it'll work out, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, right? Adventure is not just like situations, it's food, it's like things that you've never seen, it's learning, it's growing. So, adventure is anything where you're not in control and it's different from mundane and boring. So, like,
Uh,
yay.
Speaking of outfits, apparently today is our tribute to Prince.
Yep.
You know, purple rain, purple rain.
It happened by accident, okay? But I love it. So, how do you pick an adventure? You're like, you want to go on an adventure, but how do you pick? How do you decide to go on an adventure?
Sometimes the opportunity just presents itself.
Right?
It doesn't have to be this big bold thing where it's always, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go across the world and visit another country. It could be just, you know what, I feel like trying out a different restaurant. We always go to the same restaurant. Why not go for a new place?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know what? I'm in the mood for this. It can be random. You need sometimes you need to break out of your routine and just take a big bolt and jump.
And sometimes I find with adventures, they come find you, but you actually have to find people to go with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think give permission to ask questions is better when I have someone with me. Like, that's why I was like, hey, Pierre,
Really,
videotape it with me. So, an adventure is even just
I'm
communicating with other people.
no, I'm the opposite. I've actually had my adventures by myself,
Really? You're like
and they are
solo
the
adventure.
best moments I've had.
Okay, what's the best solo adventure you've ever had in your entire
I
life?
can't pick just one, like,
I was like,
because
are you allowed
I've
to share?
traveled.
Okay, yeah.
Oh man, like because I started to travel like, well, like 10 years ago, and that's when I really started to go outside of
The
things I've
comfort
done.
zone.
Yeah, the crazy, some crazy stuff I've done. Let's see. Well, first, my going to Miami by
Mm.
myself. Oh, that was kind of very cosmopolitan city. Like nice beach vibes. Um, Around those early years, that's when I was in the earlier phase of a different look. I mean, you're seeing this style right now, but at the same
You
time,
had
but
dreadlocks
yet
back in
my
the
hair,
day.
I had dreadlocks. I was growing out my dreads. And then a few years, about a year and a few months later, New Orleans during Mardi Gras. During that time, ate there like a king, and like some of the food that I had there was, well, gator.
Mhm. Ooh.
Oh wow!
Mhm.
Usually I get a different ooh.
Ew.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, I mean the
I'm like, was
typical.
it tough?
There's ooh, and then there's ooh.
I'm impressed. I don't
Yeah,
like
and it's actually delicious.
yeah, right.
Like in those po' boys,
Mhm.
it's they do it so good. It's just amazing.
Mhm.
And people are just like, tasting like gator. It's like, ugh. No, it's amazing. And later on, a year later, Brazil during
Yeah.
Carnival.
Ooh, that's cool.
Oh my God. This trip was surreal because it was my first time overseas.
Mhm.
Now I thought I was gonna be okay just because thinking, oh, maybe, Portuguese is close to Spanish. It's not.
Mhm. It's
But
totally
somehow I
different.
come through. But hey, you know what? It's all good because I had a great time, and because it's just these beautiful, luscious beaches that go on for kilometers.
Mhm.
Not to mention, you go in those streets, everyone has a very relaxed attitude. And when you go to the statue of Christ, the Redeemer, it's the it's just like the city is just surrounded by mountains.
Mhm.
You could stand around and be looking at the Rio de Janeiro in complete silence, and you'll be mesmerized.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
finally,
what?
a, a home a coming trip, Montreal.
Montreal. Yeah.
Oh, that that city has this old uh, European architecture, and it's like having Paris, but right here in Canada.
Right? Sometimes you don't have to leave Canada to get like another adventure. Because like
Mhm.
this year, I think I went to like Cochrane, I went to Calgary, and then I went to Cold Lake. So I totally seeded up this year. Everywhere
Yeah,
that has a sea, I went.
and it's so yeah, we sometimes like we have to stay like right here in our own country to appreciate what we have.
Mhm.
Eh, in that city, just it being in the old port, seeing those streets and cobblestone, and there are buildings that are from the 1500s that have a lot of history to them,
Mhm.
and those buildings are still standing in mint, spotless condition.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Mhm.
And also, between truth be told, um, gotta have a romantic feeling to it.
Right?
Yeah.
You get a little like, oh. I find that for me, an adventure can sometimes just be reading. Like, I know that sounds really boring,
Yeah.
but like even like writing my books, like Give Permission to Ask Questions, and what's the book that I just wrote? A Journey of Epic Proportions,
Uh-huh.
Slay Some Dragons. Like that for me was an adventure to write because I'm like, can I write a book? And I'm like, wait a minute, I wrote this book, and I was like, well, now what? Like I have to publish the book, and then I have to like put it on Amazon, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do that. But I'm like, that was an adventure too, and I never left this chair. So there's a million
You
adventures out there.
exactly. I think everyone is able to set their own definition of an adventure.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that people are scared to go on adventures? Like, I know that you're not, but like I am. Like, I like plan all these adventures, and no matter what, the scariest thing in the world is not controlling anything. Do you know what I mean? So, an adventure is like an element of like almost like scary. I can't control anything. Like, I have to take beauty to
And right
take
there,
me.
that's right there. Because we're so I think it's because some people are used to routine, being very complacent,
Mm,
that sometimes like this is a fear of the unknown. It just kind of throws them off.
mhm, right? I hate
Yeah.
it. I'm a super control freak. So like giving myself
Yeah.
permission to go on an adventure or like giving myself permission to get excited about something scares the crap out of me. So like I still do it, but like I always have to have like
Yeah.
backup plans where I'm like, okay, if I do this, then this will happen. But like I feel most of my life is kind of boring. Do you know what I mean? Like, hey, I got my whole thing set up, whatever. But then I forget how cool I am. And most people don't have my life or do what I do. So, like, honestly, an adventure is relative. Do you know what I mean? You like, what does it mean to this person? What does it mean to this person? How does it mean to this person? But like, I don't even know what the definition of adventure is. I'm going to go Google that.
I think the everyone should re- every an adventure to me. I think that's sort of. I think no, there's maybe an idea a difference between the definition like of a of an adventure and the concept of an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like on in the dictionary, it will say an adventure is this, but the concept of an adventure is it, for example, reading a book? Is it for one person, an adventure could be skydiving, it could be hiking, it could be
Mm-hmm.
writing a book. It's all just relative. What gets them excited in life,
Mm-hmm.
something that they want to try, dare themselves to do.
I think you're right. Yeah, the like we've been talking about is like an unusual or exciting, typical hazardous experience or activity. So like give yourself permission to do something exciting in life. So like
Yeah.
traveling gets you excited. What other things get you excited?
Well, one of the things that has gotten me excited this year is, believe it or not, driving.
Driving, right? And we take it for
Yeah.
granted, but like driving is part of the adventure. Driving is part of the excitement of life. I hate driving, by the
It,
way.
what you do?
I do. It's like a necessary evil. I'm
Trust
like,
me,
oh,
I've
it's
had I've actually had I've had this health situation
yeah,
where I couldn't drive for a few years,
yeah.
and being behind the driver's seat,
Freedom.
Oh, and here's why it's an adventure.
Mhm.
You you're behind the seat of that vehicle, and you can go to all of these places, and you got your music playing on, and to me, that's an adventure.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, we're right here in Edmonton, and for some reason, I felt like going to Stony Plain or
Right?
Castle Downs. That's an adventure to me. You know how
Yeah.
often I go to these places?
Not that often.
No. And I was stunned. It's just like, what? There's this in this neighborhood now?
Yeah.
Like
It's
it got
always
to
changed.
100.
Yeah.
This neighborhood it goes up to 171st Avenue. That
That did
really
not happen
did
5 years
develop.
ago.
Like, oh my God, like how much has this place developed?
Mhm.
This neighborhood has a lake.
Right? There's so many lake lots now.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. That's so funny.
And
So,
that's why it's there's many things, and sometimes I what you know, and going back to that other to that question you were asking me,
mhm,
like why are people afraid to go on adventures?
mhm.
It's what about how about this? That fear of failing in an adventure.
That's an awesome like conundrum, right? Because this year in business, third year of business, just finished. Like I'm heading into my fourth year. I failed my third year. I was like, well, like this
Yeah.
stinks. It was not good. Like running out of money is a real thing, or like having a lot of money and having no money. Like there's such
Mhm.
like a consistency of like whatever. And like I had to finish my third book in the season with like I failed. Like my adventure was
Yeah.
amazing and like my third year of business was so awesome, but I failed. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly
Yeah.
right. I took the adventure and I failed, but I couldn't quit because I had too many hands and too many like seven streams of income. Like, hey, I'm working with this person over here. I'm working with this person over here. I'm working with this person over here. So I can't quit the adventure, even though I really want to. Just so, sometimes you've like gone down rabbit holes that you should or should not go in. And like I don't regret starting my own company. It's just the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. And like the third year of business, the adventure was harder my third year than it was my first year and my second year. So the adventure, like so hard. Like sometimes adventures are so hard because they're long. Like the third year of business, I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire and I'm gonna do this. No, but like the funny thing is, my third year, I was like, wait, now I know how to monetize my business. Now I know I could, what's the word I'm looking for? I wrote it down and then forgot. Franchise Phoenix Career Development. So like,
Yeah.
can I do that today? No, but like down the road, like my adventure is to franchise Phoenix Career Development and have other like teach other career development practitioners how to use my programming because I have the theory, practice, choose your own adventure sessions, and the legendary journey. So I created everything. I'm the McDonald's of career development. But like now I have to like
You're loving it?
I love it, but like I failed. Okay. Like my adventure was failure. So like I called it. My third year of business was a complete failure. But like diligence and proficiency is my fourth year of business, but it's diligence and proficiency in play and play in business. So like you have to play in your values, right? And so one of my values, my second value is humor and playfulness, which is adventure, right? So like
Yeah.
some adventures suck. That's all I'm saying. Then you start another one. Then you do other
Yeah.
things. So it's funny because
Uh,
life is failure.
uh, yeah. Well, you know, you have to go through failures the first to then reach success.
Mhm.
Right? I was actually, just this week, I was at my Toastmasters meeting,
Mhm.
and was talking about about going from plan to action. Part of the uh, part of my speech included a little anecdote about a an evening news journalist
Mhm.
at WJZ TV in Baltimore, Maryland, who was fired because they were unfit for television.
Oprah Winfrey. Just kidding.
Oh crap!
Right, you're
You
ruining
guessed it.
everything.
What?
You're ruining everything, Lorette. But like, was it not Oprah? It is.
You you actually guessed right.
I know.
Wait, you knew that story?
Yeah. Sometimes you have to fail, and sometimes people tell you the wrong things. But like, Oprah Winfrey got told.
But keep in mind,
Yeah.
they fired Oprah Winfrey for being unfit for television.
Mhm.
A little bit of irony, don't you think?
Like, and then she had her own station, like her own network. It was like Oprah Winfrey Network.
Yeah.
So I'll show you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she what did she do? She reinvented herself. She got her own TV show. Now she got her own TV network. She's got her own empire. She's a multi-billionaire.
Mhm.
Huh? So it just goes to show you that she's lived quite the adventure.
Mhm. Right. So we're wrapping up. What's your last sage advice of give permission to go on an adventure? What's your last closing statement?
No. Mhm. My advice for for adventures is take chances, because you because with adventures you you want your life to be defined by the moments where you lived rather than the moments where you could have.
Mhm. The adventures are the take your breath away, where it's like, oh, that moment was so awesome. I always appreciate your time and like give yourself permission to ask questions. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.